Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at one of the most improved Pokemon from the Season 12 move update, Double Kick Cobalion. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community on the final day of the previous season, so many thanks for the battle submission. Cobalion was a Pokemon that was held back by its lack of a good fast move, and now that it has access to Double Kick, it is an absolute menace in the Ultra League. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Double Kick Cobalion in action in the Ultra League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a pretty neutral lead, Dragonite into Drapion. Dragonite staying in to start, goes for the crunch catch. Drapion farms up, banks a bunch of energy, and then brings in Talonflame. Cobalion farming up, going for the Stone Edge. Do they respect it? They do not, and Talonflame gets one shot. Opponent is going to bring in their final Pokemon, which is a Shadow Gyarados. Gyarados is going to fire off the Aqua Tail. Cobalion does not have to shield here. As you can see, Cobalion does have some pretty decent bulk to it. Cobalion baiting with the Sacred Sword, able to grab a shield from the Gyarados. Cobalion massively overfarming, going for another Sacred Sword bait, but loses CMP. Cobalion shielding up the Aqua Tail. This is incredibly risky, going for a second Sacred Sword bait. Gets the shield, and now it's Stone Edge time. Cobalion takes out not one, but two flying Pokemon. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Great lead in the next match, Dragonite into Venusaur. Opponent save switches into Drapion, and Drapion will be met with Cobalion. Unless Drapion is running Aqua Tail, Cobalion fully walls Drapion's moveset. As you can tell, this Drapion is running Crunch and Sludge Bomb, so Cobalion is able to resist all of their moves. Cobalion fires off a Sacred Sword and just continues to farm up a ton of energy. The energy generation from Double Kick is incredible. Cobalion well over 2 Double Kicks, going for an undercharge here, wanting to try and get the Double Kick farm down, because Cobalion is in no danger from any of Drapion's charge moves. Drapion fires off another Crunch. Cobalion able to farm down and leaves with almost 100 energy. Back in comes the Venusaur. Cobalion is going to start spamming out these Stone Edges. First Stone Edge, able to land, and going to be able to reach a second Stone Edge. This will be getting the Venusaur quite low. Venusaur tanks it. Venusaur over farming. Cobalion able to reach a Sacred Sword. It is too spammy. Takes down the Venusaur. In the back is Swampert, and that is a good game. Good lead in the next match, Dragonite into Talonflame. Talonflame is actually staying in this matchup, which is honestly fantastic. Brave Bird would do a ton of damage here. Tough decision to make. Dragonite is going to respect it, and it is the Brave Bird. Talonflame staying in here. Dragonite could have farmed down, but instead decides to fire off a Dragon Claw. No point for the opponent to shield. They're just going to let the Talonflame go. In comes Clefable. Save switch into Cobalion, and the opponent is going to respond with Swampert. Earthquake would obviously hit for massive super effective damage here. Cobalion fires off the Sacred Sword, grabs her shield, and is able to fire off a second Double Kick Sacred Sword. Is an incredibly spammy combination. Able to land the Sacred Sword. Cobalion just going to let it go. Swampert goes for a Hydro Cannon. Cobalion able to tank it and reach another Sacred Sword. Cobalion able to get the Swampert low. Swampert is going to be firing off one final Hydro Cannon that will take out the Cobalion. In comes Dragonite. They bring in Clefable. This Dragonite is still running Hurricane. Hurricane is going to do big damage on the Clefable. And from here, Escavalier is going to be able to close out this game. Escav will very comfortably be able to reach the back-to-back drill runs, or, if he wants, can probably just commit to the farm down here. Looks like he is going to be able to reach the back-to-back drill runs first, so he is going to fire off the first. Opponent commits the shield, able to reach the second. This will take out the Clefable. Escav should be able to counter down the Swampert, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Dragonite into Trevenant. Very nice to catch the Trevenant on the lead, because the back line does not want to see it whatsoever. Dragonite is going to be able to outpace the Trevenant and fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw goes unshielded, does some solid chip damage. This is enough for a Shadow Ball. Tough decision. Dragonite calls it, gets hit with the Shadow Ball, switches out on very low HP, and brings in Cobalion. Cobalion is very spammy, able to outpace and reach the Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword does grab a shield. This is enough for a second Shadow Ball. Cobalion respects it, and it is the Shadow Ball. Cobalion will be able to massively overfarm here. Does the Trevenant want to give up that final shield? My guess is no. Sacred Sword goes unshielded, and Cobalion is able to take down the Trevenant. In the back, they have Cresselia, and Cresselia, not the most comfortable matchup for Cobalion ever. Cobalion is only taking neutral from the Moonblast or the potential Future Sight, so at the very least, a Moonblast should not be fatal from this range. They're going to be firing off the Moonblast. Moonblast does get Cobalion low. Cobalion farms up quite a bit, goes for the catch, and a beautiful catch onto the Dragonite, able to bank a bunch of energy on Cobalion for later, going to be waiting the timer, and then it's all up to Escav. In comes Escav, and the Cresselia is not switching out, so hopefully that means whatever is in the back is going to be weak to Escav. Cresselia fires off the Moonblast. Escav tanks it like a champion, overfarms, and is going straight for the Mega Horn. Mega Horn will hit for massive damage if it lands. Cresselia commits the shield. It's looking like they are weak. Escav, smelling blood in the water, is going to commit the final shield themselves and look to overfarm quite a bit and fire off the Mega Horn. This Mega Horn is going to be taking down the Cresselia. What does the opponent have in the back? It's a Scrafty, and this will be game over. They go for the power-up punch. That is not going to be enough damage. Escav will be able to land the Mega Horn, and then a combo play into the Sacred Sword should be game over. In comes Cobalion. Cobalion banishes the Scrafty, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Dragonite into Obstagoon. Honestly, the entire team does fairly well against Goon. Opponent is going to save switch into Nidoqueen. Dragonite farms up, and a beautiful catch, catching what can only be a Poison Fang onto the Escavalier. Escavalier does have a very comfortable matchup here. Escav farms up, and is going to fire off the Drill Run, and it appears to be a CMP tie. Drill Run would do big damage. Nidoqueen commits the shield, and is going to fire back with a move of their own. Escav commits the shield, and it's the Earth Power. That is big. This means they can throw 8 counters to fire off the Drill Run on the next CMP tie to the Earth Power here. Does the opponent want to give up the final shield? They do. This could be an Earth Power. Tough decision to make. Escav is going to shield. It's the Poison Fang. That's unfortunate. Escav farming up. Switch back into Dragonite, catching the Earth Power. An absolutely sensational catch. In the back, they have Clefable, and again, Hurricane coming in clutch on Dragonite, as this will do massive damage onto the Clefable. We know that Escav has a lot of energy. You can probably bring an Escav and farm up. It looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. Escav farms up to the back-to-back Drill Runs. First one is going to be taking out the Clefable, and then Escav is very close to a Mega Horn for the Goon. Does the opponent bring in the Goon? They do, and Escav able to reach the Mega Horn. Mega Horn will do massive damage. In comes Cobalion into Nidoqueen. This is typically a very tough matchup for Cobalion because everything it throws is resisted. As you're going to see, Sacred Sword does not do a lot, but thanks to Nidoqueen being low, Cobalion will be able to win this. Earth Power, not enough to KO. Cobalion double kicks down and clutches the win. Hopping into the next match, leading Dragonite into Escavalier. Generally favorable matchup for Dragonite, but we will have to be mindful of what moveset Escav is running. Escav's gonna fire off a move, and they're actually running Acid Spray, not doing a whole lot of damage, but debuffing Dragonite's defense. Dragonite builds up to the Hurricane, baiting with the Dragon Claw, gets a shield, farming up, goes for another Dragon Claw, but the opponent makes a switch into a Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales. That Dragon Claw does basically no damage, but this Ninetales is not gonna have a great day going against Cobalion. Cobalion already at the Stone Edge. Stone Edge will hit for massive super effective damage, getting the Ninetales low. Even if this is the Dazzling Gleam only hits for neutral, so Cobalion able to tank it and farm all the way down. Escav does have quite a lot of energy here. Does the opponent bring it back in? And they do. Escav's gonna fire off a move. Tough decision, calling the spray, and it's another Acid Spray. Oh my goodness. Cobalion at the back-to-back Sacred Swords. First one gets the shield. Second one will be able to land. Is this going to be enough to take down the Escav? It barely is not. Escav able to counter down. He's going to bring in his own Escav here. In the back, they have Virizion, so this game is over. Switch! Oh my goodness! Did he catch the Stone Edge? He didn't have to do that. He caught the Stone Edge! Going for the 2-shield flex. Say it ain't so, Ike. Megahorn is going to get the Virizion low. Virizion, I don't believe this is enough for another Stone Edge. He's going to let that through. And Escav clutches the win and the 2-shield flex. Hopping into the next match, leading Dragonite into Walrein Nightmare lead. Going to save switch into Cobalion. Opponent is going to respond with a Dragon Breath Giratina. Giratina is definitely a problem for Cobalion if it's running Shadow Claw, but with Dragon Breath, honestly, this is surprisingly close. Opponent decides to go for a Dragon Claw. Their unfamiliarity with Cobalion definitely helping Cobalion in this matchup. Cobalion is going to farm up quite a bit. They're going to be firing off another move. Giratina finally does throw the Shadow Sneak, and as you can see, Shadow Sneak is going to do more damage there, so definitely the way to go. Stone Edge, going to get the Giratina quite low, and Cobalion is able to reach another Stone Edge. Typically, Giratina can win this matchup, but the opponent's unfamiliarity with Cobalion ends up helping out. In comes Dragonite to meet the Escavalier, and honestly, things are looking incredibly good now, because the moment the opponent brings back in the Walrein, which they do here, it's going to be met with the Escav, and Escav just has a dominating matchup here. Even if they are able to land the Earthquake, Earthquake is not enough to KO, so Escav able to tank that. Escav firing off the Megahorn on the CMP tied to the Icicle Spear. Opponent is going to shield up the Megahorn. Escav does need to shield this because Dragonite does not want to take that Powder Snow damage. Escav is going to go for the counter down here. Actually decides to fire off the last second Drill Run because the Walrein was going to be able to reach a move. Very nice counting. Opponent brings back in their own Escav. Now it's all up to Dragonite. Can Dragonite clutch this? Honestly, this is looking a little rough. This is looking like Dragonite is going to get countered down here. Needs to reach the Hurricane. Not going to get there. And that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, leading Dragonite into Obstagoon. We've seen this lead before. The entire team has play against it. Goes for the Night/Catch. Opponent is going to respond with Talonflame. We've already seen one Stone Edge one-shot. Can we see a second? Cobalion one-shots the Talonflame. And just like that, Cobalion wins switch advantage. Opponent brings back in the Obstagoon. Sure, Obstagoon is dealing super effective damage here, but it's taking double super effective damage in return. Cross Chop gets Cobalion low. Unfortunately, Obstagoon is able to reach another move. Cobalion commits the shield because Cobalion has a ton of energy here. Cobalion at the back-to-back Sacred Swords, firing off the first. Opponent lets the Obstagoon go. They're putting all their faith into Cresselia. Cobalion pretty low on HP, but going to be able to fire off the Stone Edge. Stone Edge, some solid damage. Cobalion able to reach a second Stone Edge. Let's go, the bulk of Cobalion. This Stone Edge lands as well. Cresselia holding on to those 2 shields, but now below half health. In comes Escav. Escav is going to be able to absorb all of Cresselia's energy here. Cresselia is going to fire off the second Moonblast. Escav does not care. Escav is going to let that go, and then in comes Dragonite. These Dragon Tails really adding up. Cresselia now into the red health. Honestly, Dragonite could just try and go for a fast move beat down here. Dragonite is at the back-to-back Dragon Claws though, and is actually going to fire off some charge moves. Dragon Claw is going to grab a shield from the Cresselia, firing off a second one as well. That was on alignment, but either way, going to be able to grab the final shield. Cresselia, little bit of lag here. Cresselia is going to be able to fire off a move. That Moonblast is going to do massive damage, but Escav is able to reach the Bad Manners Megahorn. No bubbles, still KOs, and that is a good game. All in all, Cobalion with Double Kick is now immediate Ultra League meta. This is a Pokemon that honestly had basically no viability before, but now that it finally has a good fast move, it's definitely going to be a Pokemon that you're going to want to try out. It's not excessively expensive to build compared to some of the XL options, but it is extremely spammy. That Double Kick Sacred Sword combination and Stone Edge is a really nice surprise if you get trapped against the Fire type. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.